no, you can't get an annulment. Okay? But the likelihood of getting an annulment is very good. We have a lot of judges here in this diocese. We have more judges in the diocese than Rome has.
I have a live example. This person married a non-Catholic person back home. She migrated here and remarried with another person in the U.S. They got married in the Catholic Church. They went through the 6 months, answered all the questionnaires, and did the 6 month thing. I don't think they lied about their, she lied about the previous marriage that she had in the Philippines. They still got married in church. Now.
Okay, you don't know all the circumstances.
Well,
You don't know if they got an annulment or anything else. See, if they got an annulment, then they're free to marry.
I do, because I do know, because I was a witness. I'm sinful. I witnessed the second marriage.
But you don't know that. Yeah, but behind the scenes of it.
They have to show. Okay, something got to be missed. That's what I say. You know, I can't answer specific questions without knowing all the details and seeing all the details, seeing that little deal. You know, because you've got to show a marriage license. You know, and like I say, people don't lie to the clerk. You know, when they show you that little marriage license, they got one little box. Number of this marriage. And unless there's a 1 there, if there's a 2, sometimes a 3. I've seen 6. Believe it or not.
One more question.
My question was, I didn't finish my thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My question was, which marriage is sacramental?
The marriage says okay. I don't know all the circumstances to answer that question because they were married in church, et cetera, in another country. They came over here and met somebody else and got married here and left that spouse over there.
No annulment. Are you sure?
No annulment.
Maybe there's a lack of form that was processed.
Well, well,
Not lack of forms.
okay, let's put it this way. If they were sacramentally married before in another country, they came here, did not tell the priest or deacon that they were married before, did not show anything where they were married for, number one, they're not validly married in the second marriage. They're still validly married in that first marriage. They are a bigamist in the eyes of. See, the church don't worry about bigamy. The church says you're not in a sacramental marriage. The state says you're a bigamist. Yeah. No, I mean that's the whole thing. You know, unless you tell the priest or deacon all the information. I mean, if you just lie about the whole thing. You know, you're not doing the marriage right anyhow. Yeah.
On filing an annulment, do you contact the other person too?
Okay. In order to get an annulment, you have to have an address, the name and address of the ex, because an annulment for you is an annulment for them. See, they don't have to. They have to be contacted. Because if the annulment goes through, then the diocese has to notify them that their marriage is annulled. You are now free to marry somebody else in the church. Now, they will ask the person whether or not you want to cooperate. If they say no, It does not stop the process.
Okay.
It makes it a little harder, but it doesn't stop the process. Yes.
Is the annulment in Oakland valid in all the dioceses, even in other
An
countries?
annulment in a church. Okay, one thing we got to remember, I'm talking about church annulment, not civil. I know in the Philippines,
You cannot.
there's no divorce.
Right.
It's only annulment. That don't count as an annulment in the Catholic Church. You got to get an annulment here in the church.
What?
In normal Philippines doesn't count.
Yeah.
So basically, if you have an annulment here, it doesn't be recognized in the Philippines?
No. An annulment is recognized in the Philippines because you can get a church annulment in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I'm talking about if somebody who don't get a divorce, they get a civil annulment. Civil annulments we're not talking about. That has nothing to do with the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I think you mentioned one of the reasons why for annulment is psychological reason, where when they get married, they're not psychologically ready.
It could, right.
How can you prove that?
This is where you interview people. See, one of the things on those forms where that you ask, you ask, is there anything else you want to say about this marriage? Okay, I put down, and I've seen other people, other deacons or priests put down, in a little box. At one time, this poor girl, she was so controlled by her mother, it was unbelievable. She didn't do anything. Her mother did everything. Hey, one of these days, this guy is going to get tired of all of this. I'm not marrying my mother-in-law. I want to get married with wife. And you put this little notation, there is, this girl is controlled by her mother, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you go for that annulment, they pulled out that little folder and they see that notation that was made. And so they start questioning that. If you've been under doctor's care, from Bentley, they will check that out. See, all that, you read the forms that you got there. There's a lot of questions you have from both the A form and the B form. And a lot of times, you get some 18-year-old kid that's trying to get away from the house and want to get out, and they're not ready for marriage, even with marriage preparation. Marriage preparation is good, but it's lousy. I've done marriage preparation. They're in love. They don't even hear you. Steve does it all the time. They're in lust. And that's the problem. I'm 18, I'm getting out of this house, I'm getting married. Hey, I'll marry you. We do it in church anyhow. You're not ready for marriage. I was telling them today at the Courage and Appreciation, after about 10 years, you know you're ready for marriage.
Yeah, I wasn't ready when I got there.
Yeah, and I'm going on 50 years. My wife tells me I'm still not ready.
What if you knew all this, like before you consented to marry the guy, you knew he was immature or under the mother's control, but you knew this, but you still married him.
I know, you gotta change him.
No. Just so
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, hey,
Now, what I mean, does that make that marriage now
not necessarily. Hey, I know people who got married when they were 16 and they're still married. I mean, it's different. See, this is why you got to take a case-by-case basis. They investigate this stuff. They talk to people. You got people at 30 years old. They're not ready for marriage. They're too immature.
So where do you base your decision? Where does the church base her decision?
By talking to psychologists. They talk to psychologists. It's just not some priest or deacon making these decisions. It works like a whole court of law, that they get all this information, and then they go with the judges around, and they discuss it. They got somebody for you, and they got somebody for the ex, and they're bringing up different points. And besides all of this, after the annulment is granted in your diocese, then it's sent to another diocese for them to review. And then, if the ex want to fight it, they could demand that it goes to Rome for review. Yes.
Deacon Ovide, maybe I could add something that might help a little bit with this in terms of the decision. From a philosophical standpoint, the church favors marriage. So in other words, the church is going to kind of assume that it's a sacramental marriage, and the case that's brought up for annulment has to prove that one of those things were not in existence. So that's kind of the balance
The one
that's
who
put.
wants annulment has to prove
Yeah.
there is a case.
Correct. You have to
Canon
prove
law
it somehow.
states that a marriage is sacramental as long as you've been before a priest or a deacon. You've got to show, for some reason, that it was not. Yeah.
Well, what if the other person remarried already?
Got nothing to do with
Matter.
And they could still,
It has nothing to do with them. You're asking for the annulment. And if your annulment is granted, then their annulment is granted also, for them also. So they could get married in church.
I'm assuming my
Yeah.
ex-husband never got married at church then. Because I never
Yeah.
been notified that.
Adultery, a clear cut for an annulment, either
No. It's never anything that happens after marriage. It's at the time of marriage.
It's never after.
That's the whole sacrament. The sacrament is the time when you are standing before the priest or deacon. What is going through your head at the time you're before there? They ask you the questions. Are you freely entering into the sacrament of marriage? Are you open to having children? Are you willing to make a lifelong commitment? And therefore, the church says you have said yes to all these questions. Therefore, you are in a sacramental marriage. Now, what happens if you get a divorce and you remarry, or you want to get remarried? Then you've got to show that at the time you said those words, you weren't. Like I said, the one guy, while he's saying those words, his mistress was probably in the audience, in the congregation. Okay?
There's a case, and I was a witness. I actually functioned as a witness. We are in the Philippines. They got married. It was, I think, a very sacramental marriage. In the Catholic Church, they've been engaged for a very long time. So she left to the Philippines, to the States. I mean, they stayed together for a few weeks. She left for the Philippines, to the United States. Eventually, waiting for his visa, he committed adultery.
Yeah.
And they divorced. She opted for a divorce. And she remarried here based on that divorce. And I became a witness because a close friend of mine became the other woman in this case.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And so I saw that happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a big protest, And so, but the thing is that, maybe because there was a divorce already involved, but I think the main reason was, of course, is the adultery and the broken marriage. I don't know why.
It's not what happens after marriage. See, the church doesn't ask, it calls for love, okay? The church doesn't say you've got to be in this Hollywood romantic love. It's not that romantic love. It's a love for a person. You know, that you're willing, that you're freely making this commitment for a lifelong commitment, you know, and you're open to having children. Yeah. But yeah,
That was
yeah.
the situation.
Were they granted a divorce, an annulment?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
most definitely.
Well, there were other circumstances that they brought up, and it had nothing to do. They may have not been, it may have happened before the marriage too. We don't always know some of this stuff, you know?
I think I was the only witness. And
There are probably other
what
witnesses.
what I factually said was the fact that he did commit this adultery.
Yeah.
He did run away with another woman
Yeah.
who was a friend.
Yeah, but it's not what happens
But
after the
that's
marriage.
not the only
It's
thing
at
I
the time of
can
the marriage.
Yeah, so
And
that's why
that's
I'm
the-
asking whether,
Yeah.
you're saying at the moment of marriage, but then this happened.
Well, they ask other things, but see, they investigate more things and they find out. Believe me, they did. They did. You know, there have been cases of people get married and they find out that the woman never wanted, or the guy never wanted to have children, and didn't tell their spouse.
There's been a question over here for a while.
I have a question. Could there be an annulment if one of the spouse would like to have children and the other spouse cannot have children? So can there be an annulment?
No. If one spouse wants children and the other one doesn't or can't.
No, cannot have
Okay,
children.
no. Whether or not you can bear children does not, is that you're open to have children. Okay? You get two people who's 65 years old and you're getting married in church. And one of the things they're asked, you know,
Yeah, but that's.
are you willing to have children? I'm 65. No, the thing is, are you open to have, if you were younger, would you be open to having children? It doesn't say you've got to be able to bear children. All you got to do is be able to carry out, you got to be able to have sex. And if you're not old, you can't have it. But when you're older, it assumes that if you were younger, you would be open to having children.
I think her question is, would it be a basis for annulment if
No.
one spouse cannot bear children?
No, it's not. It's not. It doesn't say you've got to bear children. It's got to be open to have children. Yes.
How about if one person later on, you find out that has been using chemicals,
Pardon me?
has been doing some kind of chemicals, like addiction?
That's right.
So,
And you have cases, yeah. Were they in their right mind? If they were on drugs, no.
okay.
See, that's what's taken into account.
My question is, I'm just curious.
All I
If
know
you're in a
is
different
I'm
religion,
okay.
like let's say you baptist,
I'm not gonna get,
Yes.
I don't go with anyone.
so
Don't go happy
did
days.
they, and they want to divorce,
Don't
they don't have
remarry.
to worry about annulment because they're married to a different church?
No. Remember I said in that paperwork, you get, if you're a Catholic and you want to marry somebody who's not a Catholic, you get permission from the bishop. And he will give you permission to get.
No, what I understand that, Deacon. My question is, if you, let's say I'm a Baptist,
Yes.
and I don't have this, and I'm going to marry another Baptist, and I'm going to divorce, and should I worry about annulment because I'm a Baptist, or?
If you want to become a Catholic,
Oh, okay, so
yeah.
just different forget about different religions, just being Catholic, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, you got divorce. Okay, you got two Baptists get married.
Yeah,
They get a divorce.
yeah.
My God.
Now, does the one wants to become a Catholic?
Well, one of the Baptists, the male, had, you know,